This is 𝗨𝗍 in Chicago, and you are watching my channel, Knowledge for Quality of Life. Friends, I welcome to those who have recently joined the channel, and I would request to all of you to participate in questions and answers and comments, and I will try to respond in a timely manner. And if you like what I'm sharing here, please share with others. Share this channel with other people so that they can improve the quality of life as well. As we said last time, we talked about that we are celebrating, we are recognizing, or we are validating the month of February for Heart Disease Month. And I mentioned two things in my last vlog regarding the proper testing. One was the, you have heard many times from me in various vlogs, particle distribution testing. So I thought that, today I'm going to take some time out and explain to you how to read the test results. And I learned the hard way because, when I dealt with 9 years ago, when I did the first NMR for my mom, my mom's doctor didn't know what the NMR lipoprofile test is. So she referred it, but when the results came and, I went to see the doctor along with my mom, she was asking me that how to interpret the results. And, literally I took NMR 101 and I gave a 15 minutes overview how to read the results. So I'm going to give you some details what related to the results. And I'm not going to talk about NMR, but I'm going to talk about Cardio IQ advanced lipid panel test, because you can have either one. Either you can do the NMR, which is by LabCorp, NMR lipoprofile test by LabCorp, or you can do Cardio IQ advanced lipid panel. And I'm going to give you a CPT code for Quest is 92145. Okay, and this test, particularly Cardio IQ, gives you more parameters, more variables than NMR does. Okay, so and I discovered this later on, when I was doing first few years, 9 years ago, NMR, and then I switched to Cardio IQ. So I'm going to talk about Cardio IQ today. And so I don't know how many of you use AI, artificial intelligence, in your daily life. But I try to incorporate at my work as well, to the best of my ability whenever I need it. And I use it in my daily life, whatever I'm doing. So I gave the prompt. The art is giving the right prompt. The more you get interactive with the AI, it's going to give you the answers. And, sometimes it's going to accept it that, I don't know about it. Because, this is all, fed machine learning to the AI, and it spits out much faster. In the olden days, when we had a dial-up network, internet, and which we eventually switched to DSL and broadband and fiber and now 5G. I've been using internet for over last, when they started with dial-up, when the connection was so poor, and I used to spend time, hours and hours, in searching stuff. And reading the papers. So, but now things are so fast that, it's on our fingertips. The only thing I would caution you to use your filter, your intellectual filter, to do the filtration that what's coming out. Okay. So I knew it exactly, through my literature reading, through National Institute of Health publications, papers about this lipid particle distribution and how it predicts the heart disease or stroke in the future events. So I gave this prompt to AI and ChatGPT, and ChatGPT within few minutes gave me a summary and snippet of each and every element of the test, except two of the elements ChatGPT missed, which I'm going to highlight as well. Okay, so let me share my screen with you. So what you see here, I gave the prompt that, take a sample test and sample test related to advanced level panel, lipid panel, cardio IQ, and interpret each and every element and give me a diet guidelines to have a better outcome. Okay, so how we can improve, because the whole idea of testing is that if once I get the test, I have to reiterate after some time to do my alternative lifestyle and my diet, and I've been doing it for many vlogs. I introduce to you how ApoE genotypes plays a vital role in our diet modification and eat according to what we carry, the type of genes, right? So then we alter these things and we can improve it, because the whole idea is like the test results gives you your status. Okay, now how to reverse that status, it's up to an individual. Of course it's not easy, it's difficult, as compared to popping the pill. But pill is not going to give you a solution, because I can tell you that Framingham study, I spoke about it, that is the longest study in the United States. Framingham is a town in Massachusetts, and 40% of the death occurred heart related when the cholesterol was normal. So it's not the cholesterol which creates or which gives an individual heart attack. It's multiple factors. Cholesterol is just like has given a bad reputation that it is creating a heart disease risk. Okay, because first thing is the insulin resistance, and then cholesterol comes into play and puts the patch. So wherever there is a blockage, you can see the atherosclerotic plaque, and cholesterol is blamed for. So I gave this prompt to the AI, and it gave me this. So first element, which is the ApoB. ApoB, it just picked a number 120 of an individual. This is not pertaining to anybody's test results. 120 milligrams per deciliter. Now, when you see this cardio IQ panel test, CPT code 92145, you will see the test in, the results in 3 panels. The first is optimal, which is, I believe, coded green. And if it's a normal, it's a borderline, it's a yellow. And, if it's a high, it's a red color. So they use the coding. So a person, it's a sample, just picked up a sample, ApoB 120 milligrams per deciliter. Of course, that is high. Optimal is less than 80. Okay. Now, what it means, what is ApoB, first of all? ApoB is the apolipoprotein B reflex. It's a type of a lipoprotein which reflects the atherogenic particles, which includes LDL, VLDL, and Lp(a). Okay, so it's a conglomerate of lipoprotein which includes all these 3 particles. LDL is, you have a LDL-C, which normally standard lipid panel measures. It doesn't measure any particles. That's why the particle distribution is much better marker to assess the risk than what we got, because it's not the cholesterol. It's like particles are like number of vehicles running in your arterial system highway. Okay, the fewer the vehicles running, fewer the particles, better it is. There won't be any congestion. Take this analogy in the back of your mind. Okay, and these particles, so to speak, if you were to compare into the analytical form, that they have a variety of vehicles running. There are small cars, there are buses, there are trucks. So the more vehicles are running, there is a chance of congestion, just like we see on the highways. Same thing happens in the arterial system. So you want fewer vehicles to carry the maximum passengers. Think of passengers being the cholesterol, and it's traveling in packets of particles and going from point A to point B to reach to the cellular level for the cholesterol raw material to send to the cellular level for the functionality and the mechanism of all the processes, all the hormones which is going to be formed with the cholesterol as a raw material. Okay, so this is a conglomerate. So ApoB, we have to keep it as low as possible. So it's one of the strongest predictor of cardiovascular risk. Okay. Now, diet to improve. What do? If we have, let's say, high, reduce your saturated fats. Okay. Particularly if somebody, fat, sensitive, like 𝗵𝗿 genotype 4. You remember that from the previous vlog? If you are 𝗵𝗿 genotype 4, that could be a very, very big factor here. It tends to increase your LDL. Now, if LDL goes high, of course, it's going to reflect in your ApoB. Okay. So butter, fatty meat, fatty cheese, and fatty red meat and cheese, and all these produce or all those items which has a lot of saturated fat, basically. Okay. So eliminate trans fat. Of course, it's a no-no. Now the guidelines is much stricter that they don't allow the trans fat, but still in some countries it may be a norm. Increase soluble fiber. So like oats, barley, beans, psyllium husk. I use psyllium husk in my bread because psyllium husk has net carb 0. Okay, so whatever the carb amount is per tablespoon, they have an equal amount of fiber. So the net carb you are taking is 0, and fiber doesn't get dissolved in your system. It comes out of the waste. Okay, and it takes any excess cholesterol with it. Okay, so psyllium husk is a very good thing, which I use in my bread because it doesn't only give the texture to the bread, but it's very good fiber source as well. It increases the fiber content in per slice of the bread. Add plant sterols like nuts, seeds, of course, in moderation. Okay, because too many seeds probably could be a detrimental side effect in the long run for some folks. Because a lot of folks which makes which gets stone in the kidneys and all that. Doctors say that try to avoid certain seeds which carry oxalates. So be mindful of that. Emphasize omega-3 fats, right? Wild-caught salmon, sardines, mackerel, all the oily fish. Then LDL particle, because LDL-C is giving you a total cholesterol. Now, all LDL-P is going to give you a total particles, how many vehicles are running into your arterial system, okay, which carries the cholesterol and takes from one point to another. So ideally, it should be optimal, should be less than 1,000. But, this is an example. Let's say if you have 1,600 or 1,500 or 1,400 or, 1,800 nanomoles per liter, that is high, okay? What it means that LDL-P measures the actual number of LDL particles. As I said, more particles equals to more arterial penetration, too much congestion. And if it penetrates through the arterial system, which is our endothelial layer, it's going to start generating the plaque in, form of macrophages and all this. The plaque is going to, atherosclerosis is going to start. And it's going to eventually, over the years, it takes time. It's not overnight or month or year. It takes time to reduce the arterial opening, and it just does its work. Unless you do some intervention and stop it, because what it's causing it, you have to stop the risk of the fire before you, try to put out the fire. Diet to improve, lower refined carbs, white bread, sugar, all type of muffins, bagels, cookies, you name it. All right. So you have to lower it as much as possible. Just like I restrict my entire day's, intake, like my carbohydrate should be 50. Simple carbohydrates, I watch very carefully, should be less than 50 grams per day. That's a low carb diet. Okay. So increase your fiber, as we said here, increase your fiber 30 to 40 grams per day. Mediterranean lifestyle pattern is the best way because, you use extra virgin olive oil and it does the trick, as it did in my case. Weight reduction, if insulin resistance, because, weight is attributed to consumption of the refined carbs, and consumption of the refined carbs is also attributed to high triglycerides. So they are all interconnected. Replace saturated fat with extra virgin olive oil, because it's a mono and poly. So it's good for you. Then third element is going to be small dense LDL-P. This is the more atherogenic, and because it oxidizes much faster because of the lower surface area. All right. Now this is, it says as an example 320 nanomoles per liter, and that is high. So what it means, small dense LDL particles, this is a LDL-P, okay? Small dense LDL particle, because total LDL particle is going to be here. And then you are going to have a further breakdown that you are going to have medium LDL particles, large LDL particles, small LDL particles, and then each of them represents a different type of diameter, okay? The bigger the particle is like a fluffier one, it tends towards type A. And the smaller the particle, it tends towards type B. So type B is not favorable. Type A is favorable. So point I'm trying to make that, you have to conform your diet in such a way that you are tending towards the higher size of the particles and as low as smaller particles. So your cumulative size, LDL particle size, is going to be a much higher. So the cutoff line for the, this test is going to give you a cumulative particle size as well. The cutoff point, if I recall correct, is 20.5. So anything 20.5 nanometer and above is considered as type A, and anything below 20.5 nanometers, it's considered type B. And type B is considered more atherogenic. Those are like a small golf balls. You don't want those. Okay, you want much fluffier particles. So I can tell you, in my case, I started with 20.7 9 years ago. So 20.7, I barely made it, like of type A when I started this journey. Now, over the last 9 years, based on my diet alteration, I'm standing as of last year around 23, okay, nanometers. So from 20.7, it increased to 23 nanometer. Now, it doesn't seem like huge jump, but percentages, wise, it's quite a bit, okay? So I'm tending towards more fluffier particles and tending towards much lower the smaller size particle, because in the beginning I told you in one of my vlog that my smaller size particle was, when my total cumulative size was 20.7, at that point my total number of small LDL particles were 666. So it was drawing towards the smaller size as a cumulative. It's a mathematics, so you have to play with your numbers. So what we are trying to do here, what I'm trying to explain, and what I did in my life, that rather than focusing on lowering the cholesterol, I changed the quality of the cholesterol. So basically, quality of the cholesterol is attributed directly to what we put in our mouth. That's the point I'm trying to illustrate here. Okay, without any statin drug. That's the main key. Without any statin drug, I changed my lipid panel towards much better, less atherogenic profile, much better outcome as far as the risk is concerned. Okay, so here they are saying that in small dense particle, what do you need to do? It says small LDL-P is more prone to oxidation, as I said, because of the smaller surface area, and it creates arterial retention, because it gets nooks and crannies of the arteries and just lives there and gets oxidized and becomes a part of the atherosclerotic plaque. Because when the HDL tries to bring back to the liver for recycling, they don't find these small tiny mini small LDL-P, because they get into the small arterial nooks and crannies, and they just stay there and get oxidized. So what we need to do, diet to improve, cut simple sugars and processed carbs. When we say sugars, simple sugars, of course refined sugar, but any type of high glycemic load fruits or foods is going to give you a higher small LDL particles. So even though if it's natural, for instance, I used to eat banana. One medium-sized banana is like 26 grams. okay, of carbohydrate. So I replaced banana with medium size or large size one avocado. So, I'm not compromising on the nutrient part, on the potassium and magnesium. I'm getting more than banana, but I have avoided or lowered my carb intake. Okay, that's how you improve. So you have to pick your battle. That's what I'm trying to say. You have to pick your battle, that how you can improve towards the better outcome, lower the risk without inducing any extra intervention. If there is no need, if you can avoid any drugs or meds, then with the alternative lifestyle, then by all means I think we should do it. Okay, cut simple sugars and processed carbs. Avoid sugary drinks, fruit juices. I don't care whether it's a pure or what, because it includes sugar, even though if it's natural sugar. Some folks like me are prone to increase small LDL-P. So you have to, this is not like what I'm telling you here. It's not one size fits all, because I'm hitting variety of things in, bits and pieces in various vlogs. You have to see this thing, how it applies in totality in your case. Okay, and then take that, whatever I'm offering you here. Okay, don't take everything at a face value, because everybody is different. You have to take, at your level, that who you are. Okay, increase omega-3 fats. Like I said, wild-caught salmon, sardines, mackerel, all the oily fish. Okay, magnesium-rich food. You can take magnesium supplement. Like I chose to take magnesium water, which I'm making my own, and I'm taking 800, 2 cups a day. I include in my 2-liter water bottle, and I drink sip by sip. Here, it's always on my desk. This is magnesium water, okay, for me. And it gives me a magnesium supplement on a daily basis. I take 2 cups a day, which gives me half a cup based on the formulation I showed you in one of my vlog. It gives me about 200 milligrams of elemental magnesium. So I include, half a cup at a time, in my water bottle, and then take sip by sip throughout the day. Optimize your vitamin D, because vitamin D is the main element for heart disease. Optimize means around 60 and above. Okay, you have to see the trick of vitamin D, how it plays out in the bigger picture. Once you obtain 60 nanograms per milliliter and above. HDL-C, this is the good cholesterol. This is the good cholesterol. It's not P, it's a good cholesterol. It's a C. 38 milligrams per deciliter. That is low. Optimal is, for male, it should be greater than 40. For female, it should be greater than 50. Okay. Now, ChatGPT didn't say anything here about male and female, so you have to be mindful of that. That's what I said, that you have to use your internal filter to see or read between the lines. What it means, HDL helps to reverse cholesterol transport. So basically, HDL does a sweeping part. Whatever the remnant cholesterol is left over in our arterial system after the consumption of cells, what they are needed for, and whatever is left over, the HDL sweeps it and brings back to the liver for recycling. Okay, so it means that it does sort of a sweeping act. Okay, it's just like a vacuuming act, bring back to the liver. Now, if your HDL is going to be bad, it means that sweeping part is not going to be done properly. Okay, that's why HDL is very important, and HDL is attributed to what? Vitamin D. You have to have 60 and above to see good improvement in your HDL over the course of time, as I explained. Particularly, a lot of Asians are in the same boat as I was. My HDL-C was 27, in 2015. And right now it's standing at 64. So make sure that, you work on this number, because, you want to have a recycling mechanism in your arterial system to bring back the leftover remnant cholesterol to the liver, so that, it gets recycled properly, because it depends on your HDL. So How do you improve? Diet to improve. Increase mono unsaturated fats like olive oil, avocado. Okay. Add fatty fish 2 to 3 times per week. Of course, same wild caught salmon, sardines, mackerel, whatever the oily fish are, which has EPA and DHA. Avoid ultra processed food, because when you avoid ultra processed food, any sugars, any carbs, you remove your lower your triglyceride, and when the triglyceride goes down, your HDL goes up. That's how it varies inversely. Okay. And moderate physical activity supports HDL as well, because a lot of people say that exercise is going to increase the HDL, but trust me, exercise is not going to increase the HDL. Okay. First thing is you have to fix your D60 and above, then eliminate all sugars and carbs, and then exercise and all these things. Then you see over time your HDL shoot up. Next, triglyceride, 210 milligrams per deciliter. Of course, it's high. The threshold is 150. Okay. They say optimal is less than 100, but I personally like, as close to, below 60. That's what my target is. I like to see between 45 and 50 if possible, but it's all up to individual. How much small LDL-P you have. Okay, if you are on the higher side, you have to bring your triglyceride as low as possible to see the good improvement. See good improvement in small LDL-P. Okay, because triglyceride and small LDL particles are really strongly correlated. If your triglyceride is high, your small LDL-P is going to be up. Okay, and vice versa. Elevated triglyceride often signals insulin resistance, and of course, this thing is attributed to metabolic syndrome, as we discussed in the past. Eliminate added sugars, reduce alcohol, lower fructose intake. Okay, increase omega-3 fats. 2 to 4 grams means EPA and DHA. Of course, it in the form of if somebody is eating fish, in the fish form, and plus the supplement or fish oil or whatever. Adapt lower carbohydrate whole food pattern. Okay, and that's how it brings your triglyceride down, because I was normal always, as I said in my previous vlog, that I was hovering around 85 to between 80 and 90 all the time, but now I'm standing at around 45 and 50. Okay, I'm watching my carb intake for the whole day, and that's bringing things down, and that's bringing the good stuff up. LP(a). This is the most atherogenic lipoprotein, which is transferred genetically by either one of our parents. Okay, either from mom or dad. So make sure that you get tested, at least once. A lot of folks are not testing this one, and this is the worst marker for risk from the risk perspective. So lipoprotein A, LP(a) is genetically determined and increased clotting risk. It increases the clot risk. Diet focus cannot drastically change with diet. You cannot do much about it with your alternative lifestyle. Either if you have it, you have it. Okay, you have to mitigate things around it. Okay, now if somebody has a high LP(a), of course, there is a drug in the pipeline. A while back, I read that Amgen is working on the phase 3 trial. I haven't seen anything yet, but soon maybe the drug may be out. Okay, so you have to talk to your doctor that how you can mitigate this risk of LP(a), and then this risk is there. Then other risk we have to, whatever we can work with, we have to work with as many as parameters, as many as variables we can lower and risk. This LP(a) may not be having that kind of a detrimental effect as compared to if all the risk is high and then you have a LP(a), then you have a cascading effect. Okay, so make sure that you are aware of it. Cannot drastically change with diet, as I said. Strict control on ApoB. So it means that if somebody has a LP(a) high genetically, then you have to control your ApoB. Okay, because ApoB includes LDL, VLDL, and Lp(a). It's a all conglomerate includes. So if you lower your ApoB, it means that you are lowering at least your LDL and VLDL. Okay, so it means that if you have high Lp(a), the thing which you can control is your triglyceride, VLDL. Okay, so focus on that. So you have to pick your battle, as I said always. You have to think analytically that how to tackle each and every variable. Increase vitamin K2 intake. Natto, aged cheese, kimchi, sauerkraut. Natto is the biggest carrier of vitamin K2 MK7. Now again, if somebody is ApoE2, which don't do well in the clearance, see my vlogs previously, you have to be mindful of it. So in my home, I'm 3-3, my wife is 3-4. I make my own natto. We eat 2 tablespoons natto, and it has a anti-clotting effect. So natto has a one enzyme which I have mentioned in the past, that nattokinase. This enzyme keeps your blood very thin, and it is anti-thrombotic. Okay, it will not let the clot forming mechanism. It will keep your blood in very fluid state. Okay, I've seen in my test my fibrinogen, fibrin level drop from 274 to 219. That's the higher the fibrin level, the more viscous you have your viscosity of the blood. The less number, you have to have a certain decent number. You cannot have a too thin of a blood that if God forbid you get a cut, you can bleed to death. Okay, so there has to be a threshold. So and nattokinase is able to do it. And I don't like to take in the supplement form. There is a supplement form available for nattokinase. I chose to use in the natto form. Okay, so I make my own natto, and I learned it over the years. And somebody is interested, they can see that vlog. And hopefully in future I'm going to discuss more about it as well. Maintain low inflammation diet. Okay, because you have to keep your inflammation as low as possible if you have a Lp(a) high, because higher the inflammation, lesions are going to create, the plaque formation is going to be there, then Lp(a) is going to just do the trick, to ignite the fire, because now you have a higher atherosclerotic plaque, and if you have a Lp(a) high, and then if God forbid plaque ruptures, you have a high tendency of clot risk. So it's all interrelated. HSCRP, again, it's a test. It's a marker which is going to be part of this test. Ideally it should be less than 1. Okay, optimally it should be between less than 0.5, 0.7. That's what I always target. So 3.2 is of course elevated. I've seen someone as high as 16. So that's pretty darn high. So what it makes, marker of a systematic inflammation. So how your arteries are inflamed, this number tells you. It tells you right away that what type of diet you are consuming. Okay, this is the biggest culprit of cardiac risk marker, because this is if this is high to begin with, everything happens following the HSCRP high. The inflammation creates everything in the worst direction. Diet to improve: anti-inflammatory pattern diet, Mediterranean diet, increase polyphenols like in your diet, including variety of berries, as they are low glycemic load fruits, green tea, turmeric. But remember that when you eat turmeric, you have to include black pepper with it, because the curcumin in turmeric is not going to get activated without the presence of chromium, which is present in your black pepper. So when I use turmeric, I use always ground black pepper a little bit, okay, to activate the curcumin, which is present in turmeric. Avoid seed oils heated repeatedly. Okay, first of all, don't reheat it, but don't use the seed oil in your diet. Seed oils are no. They are highly inflammatory oils. Seed oils mean sunflower oils, canola oils, all these vegetable oils, they are processed. They have high omega-6 and 9s, and they are inflammatory oils. Increase colorful vegetables, 6+ servings a day. Variety of colorful vegetables. See my vlog, which I did, how I used about almost 12 to 13 veggies in my stir-fry veggies every day, a platter of veggies before my main course meal. Keep your insulin, fasting insulin, as low as possible. So this test is like, if it shows 18 micro international unit per milliliter, that is pretty high. Optimal is less than 8. I target under 5. Okay. What it means indicates insulin resistance, often drives lipid abnormalities. Higher the insulin, it's the type of people who are misled by fasting blood glucose and HbA1c. Sometimes fasting insulin gives you a totally different picture. If you are frequent eaters, it's going to be high, because you tend to have more insulin floating around in your system to nullify the excess glucose, and sometimes that's a state of the hyperinsulinemia. Okay, that's a type of diabetes as well. So keep your insulin low as possible. Fasting insulin, this is the God's blessing. You should have it when you need it, and then it should go back to the pancreas when you don't need it. Okay, so reduce refined carbs, of course. Prioritize protein, 0.8 to 1 grams per pound of lean body mass. Time restricted eating, at least 12 to 14 hours window of eating. Okay, as I said, that you have to minimize your frequency of eating to bring your insulin down. Every time you put something in your mouth, the system senses it, that something came and there is a blood glucose. I have to nullify it. Pancreas releases the insulin. Okay, because glucose doesn't move in the arteries. It should go back to the cell for the storing the energy. So insulin sends the excess glucose. But if you keep eating frequently, insulin is going to come for the rescue again and again, and over time your pancreas is going to run in overdrive mode. And one time they're going to say, I'm done with this guy, I cannot keep up with this system. Okay, so then insulin is going to frequently come and run more time during the its need into the system, and that's a state of the hyperinsulinemia. That's not good. Okay, that's a type of insulin resistance as well. So basically, ideal cardiometabolic eating pattern is daily framework is protein, wild fish, legumes, pastured poultry, fats, extra virgin olive oil, avocado, nuts, non-starchy in carbs, non-starchy vegetables, berries, limited whole grains. Fiber should be greater than or equal to 30 grams per day. Omega-3 in the form of fish, at least 2 grams, ideally from 2 to 4, depending on individual's need. EPA and DHA. Magnesium 300 to 400. It's probably, for some folks it should be okay, but majority would need probably 600 to 800 milligram, because the serum level magnesium is not a proper test. You should get magnesium RBC, and normally you should have a 6 to 6.5 in your system, magnesium RBC in your blood. Vitamin D optimize based on your blood level. So overall goal strategies, lowering ApoB, lowering your LDL total particles, lowering your triglyceride, lowering your insulin while improving HDL and reducing inflammation dramatically lowers long-term risk of coronary artery disease, which is CAD, stroke, and atherosclerosis. So let me stop share here. So I thought that, people, including in my community and in generally Asian community, and, generally people are not doing the proper testing, because doctors are not recommending it, and they are relying on standard lipid panel, which gives you 4 numbers, total cholesterol, HDL, LDL, and triglyceride. These are pretty much obsolete. This is a 50-60 years old technique, which was established in early 70s by 𝗣𝗿𝗫𝗍𝗫 equation. And now lipid panel a particle distribution test gives you a better risk assessment. So I would strongly recommend folks who are living in the United States or where this particle distribution is available, make sure that you do this testing. Okay, ask your doctor. Okay, you have a right to ask and have an intellectual discussion with your doctor. Don't take anything granted. That remember what I said in one of my vlog, that we are living in the cutting knowledge society, cutting edge knowledge society, and we have all the rights to understand ourselves, because knowledge has no monopoly. Okay, now we have to look at this ChatGPT guidelines, which I just read it to you. Do you think that any doctor explains you your lipid panel this way? Okay, I just brought it to your attention that ChatGPT or any other AI engine can explain you much better and educate you much better, and using your own filter as an intellectual inquiry. You can have better understanding and go to your doctor and have a dialogue that you are trying to assess your proper risk. Okay, and you have a right to do that. And I think people have this query that is it going to be covered by my insurance? Yes, NMR, this lipid panel, is covered by insurance. Okay, I do it every year. My insurance covers it. I don't pay a dime. Now there may be a co-payment for your $5, $10 or whatever it may be. Okay, but it's worth it. At least you know where you are standing. Okay, because by looking at the standard lipid panel, you don't know how many vehicles are running into your arterial system, what kind of a plaque is generating, what kind of a stuff you're, because we can't see inside, unfortunately, right? So make sure that you ask your doctor, and remember that there is no monopoly on knowledge. If your doctor doesn't like it the way you would like to have an interactive dialogue, then probably you don't, that doctor, should not be in your roster. I fired my old doctor, and my current doctor is like my health partner. He works with me and he listens to me. Okay, whatever I say and whatever we talk, we discuss with each other. Okay, that should be the type of partnership with a patient and a doctor. Okay, it's not one-way street. Remember that, because I'm not trying to dilute anyone's command over medical knowledge, but remember, at the end of the day, the type of society we are living, the information and knowledge is at our fingertips. We can educate if we want. Okay, if we want to be a clean slate and we go to a doctor and doctor can write anything, it's up to you. It's individual's choice. But I don't fit into that criteria, unfortunately. I never was and I will never be. Okay, so I'm an educated consumer. Okay, so and that's what I've been advocating on this channel. I hope that you will learn something. I apologize that if this vlog is a little bit longer, but I wanted you to go through this understanding of your lipid panel distribution and understand how to read the report and how to mitigate if you don't get the good report. It's doable because I did it. Okay, and it's over time. It's not within a year or so. It's with the discipline, of course. Okay, so I hope you will learn something from this vlog, and I hope to see you next time with I will take one vlog also, and I will discuss the stroke assessment as well, because sometimes people are bogged down in cardiac risk around the heart attack so much that they forget these carotid arteries. Okay, so we have to see things in totality when we are talking about overall health. Okay, I hope to see you next week. Bye.